What happens when world leaders gather at the United Nations? Usually it's about diplomacy, serious speeches, and global issues. But this week, something completely unexpected stole the spotlight. And no, it wasn't a heated debate over international policy. Instead, it was an escalator. Yes, you heard that right. An escalator mishap involving none other than US President Donald Trump. Today, we're diving into the bizarre yet very real story of how a simple escalator incident turned into headline news, and why the United Nations itself had to step in with an explanation. But before we get started, if you love staying updated with global politics, unusual stories from world events, and behind-the-scenes drama, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us grow and bring you even more content like this. It was September 23rd, and the United Nations headquarters in New York was buzzing with activity. World leaders, diplomats, and journalists filled the halls. Security was tight, cameras were everywhere, and speeches were lined up one after another. President Donald Trump, as always, was at the center of attention. Trump had arrived to give his remarks before world leaders, a moment that's usually very carefully choreographed, but as he stepped onto one of the escalators inside the UN building, something went wrong. The escalator suddenly stopped, and just like that, the day's serious political agenda was interrupted by an unexpected and rather awkward pause. At first, nobody seemed to know what had happened. Was it a technical glitch, a security concern, or perhaps just an unlucky coincidence? The incident raised eyebrows because it happened just as Trump stepped onto the escalator. Of course, people immediately began to speculate. Social media lit up with jokes, memes, and theories. Some even wondered whether it was a hidden protest, a symbolic halt for Trump at the world stage. But later in the day, the United Nations gave its official explanation. And here's where things get interesting. According to UN officials, the culprit wasn't a protester, a hacker, or some mysterious breakdown. It was most likely Trump's own videographer. The UN believes that Trump's videographer accidentally triggered the escalator's safety mechanism. How? By simply being too close to the emergency stop device. Escalators, especially in places like the UN headquarters, have built-in safety features. One of those is a sensor or emergency stop button designed to prevent accidents. If it detects something unusual, say equipment getting too close or someone brushing against the button, the entire system shuts down. So in this case, the videographer, while trying to capture the perfect shot of Trump making his entrance, might have leaned just a little too close. And in doing so, he unintentionally brought the entire escalator to a halt. Now here's where the story gets even more entertaining. Trump didn't let the incident slide quietly. During his speech later that day, he joked about it in front of world leaders. He mentioned not only the escalator fiasco, but also complained about his teleprompter malfunctioning. For Trump, who is known for his off-the-cuff remarks and for turning technical glitches into comedic moments, this was yet another chance to grab attention. Imagine the scene. World leaders are expecting to hear about global conflicts, economic policies, or climate change, and instead, they're treated to Trump humorously pointing out that even escalators and teleprompters don't seem to cooperate with him. At first glance, this whole story might seem like a funny footnote. After all, escalators stop all the time. What's the big deal? But when it happens at the UN during one of the most high-profile diplomatic gatherings of the year, involving the President of the United States, it instantly becomes newsworthy. It's a reminder of how even the smallest hiccup can overshadow serious discussions. And let's be honest, in an era where people scroll quickly through headlines, a story about Trump and a broken escalator is far more likely to go viral than the details of a policy speech. This incident also highlights something important about political coverage in the modern world. We live in a time where leaders' images and optics are almost as important as their policies. Every movement, every pause, every mishap is captured, analyzed, and broadcasted instantly. Trump, in particular, has always been a magnet for such moments. From his unusual handshakes with world leaders to his sharp remarks on social media, he knows how to dominate headlines. In this case, even an escalator malfunction became part of his story, and whether you admire Trump or criticize him, there's no denying that he has a way of turning the spotlight toward himself, sometimes deliberately, sometimes by sheer coincidence. Of course, reactions online were immediate and divided. Supporters of Trump laughed it off, calling it just another example of how the universe seems to conspire against him. Yet he keeps moving forward. Critics, on the other hand, couldn't resist making jokes, some suggesting that even escalators refuse to carry Trump, others framing it as a metaphor for stalled leadership. Memes flooded Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok with captions like, "Even machines protest at the UN," or "Escalator 1, Trump 0. In a world where humor spreads faster than facts, the incident took on a life of its own. For the United Nations, the incident might have been embarrassing, but it also shows the complexity of hosting world leaders. Every detail, from security to logistics to technology, must be flawless. Yet, despite the best planning, unexpected things happen, and that's the reality of live events. Whether it's a microphone cutting out, a translation system failing, or in this case, an escalator stopping. No event is immune to glitches. The UN clarified the matter quickly to prevent conspiracy theories from spinning out of control. By identifying the videographer as the likely cause, they turned a mysterious mishap into a simple human error story. What's fascinating is how Trump turned the mishap into part of his speech. This is something we've seen many times before. Instead of ignoring technical failures, he often highlights them, jokes about them, and makes them part of his performance. That's a unique skill in politics. Many leaders might have ignored the escalator moment, considering it beneath the seriousness of a UN address. But Trump knows his audience isn't just the diplomats in the room, it's the millions watching around the world. And for them, a little humor and humanity, even if unplanned, makes the story more memorable than any policy point. So what started as a minor technical glitch ended up becoming a headline. A stopped escalator, a malfunctioning teleprompter, and Trump's willingness to laugh about it all combined to create one of the most unusual moments at the UN this year. In the end, it wasn't a security breach, it wasn't sabotage, and it wasn't fate working against the president. It was simply an overzealous videographer doing his job a little too closely. But the bigger lesson here is how small moments can overshadow big speeches, how humor can turn mishaps into memorable events, and how global politics is as much about optics as it is about strategy. What do you think? Was this just a funny coincidence, or do you think it reveals something deeper about how Trump's presidency plays out on the world stage? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this breakdown of an unusual yet fascinating moment from the UN, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our coverage of global events, politics, and those unexpected moments that often steal the show. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.